First, oh, why is my voice cracking? I don't remember. I think it's like problems. So yeah, this video will be very bad quality. If this channel wasn't very bad quality enough. So what we're gonna see is German troops quickly move. Nationalist German troops quickly move into the communist areas. North then this results in the communist areas completely collapse, because German troops quickly move in Hamburg. The communist Germans surrender, and now Germany is unified. As the Germans now unified, the French are alone on the Great War. So German troops will launch an offensive into Belgium, but that fails as the 7th. Serbia is still technically in the war, but that changes nothing. With France basically being alone, you cannot do anything as nobody wants to ally with France. The Italians are already distrustful of the Germans, but that doesn't mean anything as they quickly move in. The Papal State just joins them as they are very fearful of the communist French and the puppet Italian government. So the Kingdom of Italy is able to retake a lot of their last land by defeating the warlords, and are able to strike back. And the matter is, but this push completes. But this push ends in this stalemate. The Germans are basically stuck, and they can't do anything. They are basically stuck in the trenches, and the French start using the German industry in the Rhineland for themselves. As this turns into the same thing once again. But this is not official the Second World War. This is still official. It's just a few years. As France starts using it for its benefits, the Brits decide to join the war. Or same with the Spanish. Since the French could only do this could only expand through conquest, they quickly move into Spain, quickly defeating the nationalists and creating a French puppet state in the European area. After this, they move into Portugal. Fascists don't want to bombard Germany, but they can't do nothing. German troops also move into Rhineland, but they are not very able to do that, as the French remain under communist area, and their tensions quickly start to grow. In the east, the Russian Empire, after the Great Crisis, is looking very unstable, so it collapses. Firstly, we have the national government of emergency, or the Russian Regency. But the Russian Regency gets voted out, and gets replaced by the Lord Republic of Russia. You might ask, what's the Lord Republic? Well, the Lord Republic of Russia is basically just a bunch of nobles who rule in some sort of aristocracy, but with no elections, so basically an autocratic, so oligarch and so basically an oligarch. So these oligarchs are trying to fight the communists, or the Bolsheviks as they quickly say. But these are the Bolsheviks, not all the communists. The Mensheviks rise in Moscow, and the Second Russian Civil War starts between the Lord Republic and the communists. And while in Kuban, an independence revolt of an alliance between the Adigin population, some minor tribes in Circassia, and the Cossacks decide to break from the Lord Republic, which seems way too autocratic and way too unfree for the Cossacks, and they are sometimes referred by the liberals as kulaks, as the independent kulaks. They favor centralization, and their main left-wing factions are the black socialists or anarchists. The right-wing factions are the Cossack hosts, and their moderates are just normal Cossacks. And with many Cossack nationalists. Ukraine, seeing this, decides to fortify its border, same with Ichkeria and Georgia. But Livonia is incredibly weak, so the Soviets do what they do best: invading neutral countries during civil wars. Estonia and Lithuania are forced to fight the Red Wave, but volunteers from Poland quickly help them stop it. So the Reds are pushed back. While in the south, troop movements aren't in Ukraine, so Ukraine stays alive at least for this period of time. But the Mensheviks and the more moderate socialists are fighting, and so basically the Democrats are in Moscow, the Communists are in St. Petersburg, the Cossacks are in here, and the Lord Republic in the status quo coalition is in Siberia, in Turkestan, and other areas. By the way, the Russians were actually planning a massive offensive against Ukraine, but the civil war just came at the right time, since France wanted a Russian nationalist state. While Europe is in the trenches, really, but is stuck in a stalemate, French aid quickly throws the Bolsheviks incredibly, and Malvern, but their main enemies are the anarchists, which are the left-wing faction of the Cossack revolt, which quickly moves north. So we see the Bolsheviks conquer the Mensheviks and end up with basically a similar thing. as the Russian provisional government is stuck fighting. This is not the provisional government, this is the Lord Republic. Yeah, that's true. It's the Lord Republic of Russia. But we see this stalemate. This stalemate basically lasts too long. This causes the Cossacks to basically de facto become independent, establishing the Cossack states, the Circassian state, in Kalmykia, the Astrakhan host, the Don host, and the Kuban host. All of them are aligned under the Cossack Confederacy. While in the east, the French line starts to weaken as mass starvation starts to form. So with German troops go east with British blockade.